like aliens and or you know, Atlanteans or anything that that we need to go beyond that the Incas built it. Yeah, I mean, we know it's the Inca site. It has the 5-degree inclination on the doors. It has the doble jambas. It has all those characteristics, that a classic Inca site would have. However, flip the coin over. I have a friend, archaeologist friend, this Peruvian, Oscar Montufor, and he pointed out something that I had noticed years ago, and I didn't know what to make of it. Have you seen that section of the wall that has fallen down? I think it's on the second level. You
I
mentioned
don't
there's
think
three.
so.
So there's a I wish I had a picture, but there's a section that has fallen down. You can't go there. It's marked off. It has a little roof over it to kind of
Oh
keep
yeah, I
it.
know exactly what you're talking
Uh-huh.
about.
It's kind of like in the middle-ish
Yep, got you.
toward so that
Second
where
level.
there's second level where there's a
Yep,
little roof there.
yep.
So he pointed, I saw this, years ago, and I was like, holy smokes, what's going on here? So it's a limestone wall, right? But when it fell down, Oscar Montufor, shout out to him. Because he was over Sacsayhuamán at one point. He was over the Inca Trail at one point. He's been like the boss of Sacsayhuamán. And what he said, when that wall fell down, it was an amazing opportunity for archaeologists to see what was behind the wall. Because unless you deconstruct it, you're not going to see what's behind it, right? Well, you can now see it's open and bare. And behind the limestone construction, they backfilled with exquisitely cut andesite and durite blocks. They used like rubble from a previous construction as backfill behind that limestone wall. So who built that, right? What ruins were they using? So it's not just one simple, it's a layer cake. I mean, it
Right.
has, so yeah, there is definitely pre-Inca elements. And then, I hate the word ruin. It's not politically correct, as an archaeological
No,
site.
and remains
Um,
doesn't sound much better.
it doesn't, but I mean, literally, I mean, it's rubble and they used
Yeah,
it, but the rubble that they used was these perfectly, exquisitely, like precisely cut stones.
right.
So what was there before that they used as backfill? I mean, God only knows, but it's there. You can
Well,
see
and we
behind
see
the
this at
wall.
many Inca sites, I hate to use the air quotes,
Uh,
but you see these recycled sites. You see different types of rock, you see different types of construction. So it definitely boggles the mind. I like
mhm,
to believe that there was a previous super civilization that was living in the Andes, possibly hundreds, if not even thousands of years before the Incas. I've been into Graham Hancock for a while in his book, Fingerprints of the
oh
Gods.
yeah.
And he goes into great detail about Sacsayhuamán, and he talks about how it really does correspond with this ancient cataclysm that happened about 10,000 years ago, and the younger Dryas. And when you are at
Hmm.
Sacsayhuamán, Cody, you do see some of these just, it looks like they were just ripped apart. And I know there's
Yep.
one boulder in particular that is pressed up against a polygonal wall. So it's
Mm,
clear that this polygonal wall was here before this eruption or whatever took place that caused this giant boulder to slide over. It's
hmm.
I I got goosebumps right now talking to you
Me
about it,
too.
man. I just you
I
can't
love this.
begin to get into the level of complexity of this mystery.
No,
We haven't
it's
even begun to talk about the chintanas.
I know. There's so much, there's so many elements in Sacsayhuaman, and you're right. You hit the nail on the head. It shows signs of a major cataclysmic. I mean, okay, so if that backfill was remnants of andesite, diorite, construction, which is harder than granite, what kind of force was needed to make that into a destruction? So yeah, it was not. It's not just a one-dimensional site. There's just so much going on there. Um, it's I'm
Let's dive into the Chincanas, if you don't mind, brother, because I do think
sure.
that is so fascinating, and it's such an important part of Sacsayhuamán and just the history of Cusco and the whole area, really.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's a lot of, again, there's a lot of misinformation and legends. I know you know the story of the guy that went down into the tunnel system, the Chincana, and came up, days later, disoriented and holding a golden corn cob in his hand, and then immediately died because the earth has all kinds of gases and everything down there, and without ventilation, and some of those obviously would have collapsed over time. But there's definitely a tunnel system. I mean, what you had mentioned, the Cocha area, the Chincana Chico, like the small one, is like a drainage tunnel that's coming out of that water reservoir, and you see the aqueducts feeding into it from the upper level. So, the tunnel system, was it an aqueduct only? Was it for foot traffic? Was it ceremonial? Was it natural? Because limestone has a lot of air pockets, you know. It's anybody's guess, but I can tell you this. As you know very well, my father-in-law, Eddie, he said when he was a child, he went in to where on the Chincana Grande, so the pequeño, the chico is coming out of the what looks like a water reservoir, but further back, the Chincana Grande, where the big stone is. At some point, the government collapsed the entrance with dynamite, but before they did that, when Eddie was a kid, he said he went in there. He says when he only went so far, but you go in. He said there was an Inca like style wall, and so supposedly underneath that is the entrance that has been closed off. So we know there's like hints and whispers, and you know that that this tunnel system existed. Now, how vast it was, how extensive it was, people say it goes from Sacsayhuamán to Coricancha. Like in the middle of Coricancha, they say, oh, underneath that, it looks like a well. That was where you come up. I mean, and people even extended as far as Tiwanaku, and
Exactly. I've
but
heard all the way into Bolivia, I mean,
yeah,
people just say whatever. There's now the people say it goes to the coast and you can follow it all the way to the coast of Peru. So who
yeah.
knows?
Back again to my archaeologist friend Oscar Montufor. He says he doesn't believe it went from Sacsayhuamán to Coricancha, only because of his geologist friends, that you're going through, I think, 3 types of stone. So up there in the Sacsayhuamán area, it's limestone, but as you come down the hill, you're getting into different types of stone. So limestone is very porous. It's easy to work with. It's softer, so it likes to collapse. And he just says that it's just not. And then the Cusco Valley is an ancient lake bed, so he says he doesn't believe that it would extend from Sacsayhuamán to Coricancha, but then again, that's his opinion, not
Mhm.
mine. We just know that those tunnels exist, and we know that they're closed off, and nobody knows
Well,
where they
and
go.
you and I have both been, sorry to cut you off. You and I have both been up to Zona X, or the
Mm-hmm.
Rocas de Lancuyuc. I think I'm going to butcher that
Hey,
name, but
that's fun.
this place is just a labyrinth and a mystery of rock, and there's tunnels and little wakas and these perfectly carved out false doors and windows in this tunnel system. And I mean,
Yeah.
it's amazing, and it's been closed off now to the public for a while. I think you can get in with private tours if you pay them enough money, as per usual. But I've snuck in there numerous times, and at night I've
Mhm.
had things not smart at all, and I would never advise people to go in there alone, nor would you, I'm sure. But both you and I have both been in there alone, and it's definitely an entrance into these chincanas, in my opinion. I know that there's the one really pronounced stairway that says no entrada, and of course you go down into it, and you get down about, I'd say, at least 10-15 feet down under the ground, and you go into this room, and then from there there's like 3 separate tunnels, and that's just one. There's countless other little entrances that just drop and dip down into these rooms, and you can see cardboard where people are like living or hanging out or something, and it
Oh
gives me the
yeah,
heebie-jeebies. But that's just another place, and that's considered part of the zone of Sacsayhuamán. Can you talk about that,
it
Cody?
is.
What encompasses the zone of Sacsayhuamán?
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm not really a statistics guy, but I know the Parque de Sacsayhuamán, the whole thing. That includes all the way to Inquiltambo. I mean, the community of Yuncaypata. It's really big. I mean, it covers hectares. That's why you don't see a lot of, construction or people living around there. But I mean, yeah, I think it goes all the way up to Balcón del Diablo, over to Inquiltambo, back around, down
Kenko's
to,
involved in there, Little
yeah,
Kenko.
yeah, all that is the park of Sacsayhuamán. So it's a huge area that encompasses a lot of archaeological sites, and quarries. It's always like, where did they pull these stones from? And you know, there's the quarry of Sisicancha, which is straight up the mountain from behind Chincana Grande, and then but there's not just one, right? I mean, we both know and have talked about the one that's on the way to Inquiltambo on the left hand side. There's one uh right by Chincana Grande. Remember, you go over and there's like a column they left. You can see what has all been excavated around. The only thing that's left is a pillar in the middle. But
Let me cut you off real quick, Cody, and
mhm,
talk about this. I've heard that Chincana Grande, they were actually moving. And when they were in the process of moving this stone, that it fell and it killed like 1,000 of these natives who were working on it. That's the story. And
yeah,
that's like, and when it fell, it also blocked one of the entrances into the Chincana. And this is so the government kind of came in and demolished what the little entrance was that you could get in there. That's another. Have you heard of this?
could be the
Yeah.
it reminds me of in the biggest sleeping stone, the tired stone in Ollantaytambo, that's along the side of the road, the dirt road. They also have that legend for that one, that it was in the process of being dragged up the mountain, and then it fell and killed like 1,000 men or something,
It
and
sounds
then they
cool,
just
right?
left it. Yeah, it sounds great. So that one, yeah, that one has made its rounds, it from
Okay.
more than one site. But that rock is huge. I can't even imagine any civilization moving that rock. It looks, I mean, it appears to be an individual rock. It doesn't appear to be connected to the bedrock. But then again, I mean, you'd have to excavate underneath it to see. But
Well,
it
we
is
talked about
carved
this
up.
glacier, the glacier erosion that took place. So possibly it could have been moved, by a glacier event. I don't know though. I tend to think like you. I mean, you can see the quarry close to it where obviously stones were excavated. So it's a big mystery. But I'm sorry to interrupt you, man. Please continue, Cody,
No,
talking about the quarries.
no, just that. But then, we know there's more than one type of stone there. The walls, the three zigzag walls are limestone. But once you get up into it, you have andesite and diorite, and that didn't come from around there. Those quarries are not anywhere near to it. Actually, I don't want to, derail the subject of Sacsayhuamán, but I've been fascinated with this quarry that is, Rumicolca, right? Rumicolca is by Piquillacta in the South Valley, where it's like the big gate that's the entrance,
It's amazing. It's amazing.
the Inca Trail is like a checkpoint.
Checkpoint. That's a
Um,
perfect way to say it.
hmm Well, that is a site that is a source of andesite and diorite. And, like the stone of 12 angles, that didn't come from anywhere around Cusco. That came way down there.
And
Um,
we're talking how many kilometers here?
I think it's like, I don't remember. Again, I'm so bad with numbers, but it's far. It's
I'd
probably
say
like over
20. I'd say at
40.
least,
Yeah, I
yeah,
don't,
I'd say 20,
35.
30. Yeah, it's
Uh-huh.
many kilometers. And this is not all flat terrain, ladies and gentlemen. Sacsayhuamán is
Oh.
way up on this hill. It's like a small mountain at an elevation of over 12,000 feet. And where we're talking about is in this valley, just way beyond.
Yeah, it's far, and those stones are harder than granite. So I mean, you're talking about a long distance, and um, I don't know. Do you know about this, the legend